Hey there, this is a recap for my Castles and Crusades City of Freeport session number 2 adventure. I had all three of my players were here today. So we had Fenris, Mercer, and Liam. We left off from the last session. They were cutting through an alley, which I used this board here to represent that, on their way back to Doxy's Lap Tavern Inn that they're staying at after a day of trying to do some investigation into the Lucian, the missing librarian, and not having a lot of great success. So they're on their way back, and they get ambushed in this alley by members of the Yellow Shield. There was 5 of them. There was 2 come out behind them over here, 2 out front, and then there was 1 up here in the window there with a crossbow. So that fight, they end up fighting them. It gets ugly really fast. Some good dice rolls on my side, and they're starting to take some damage. And then they hear a voice of a man coming through here. If you look here, there's a little passage through there. This guy comes out, big, tall, muscular guy carrying a flamberge, I think that's how you say it, like great sword, wearing studded leather armor, but he's got like a metal gauntlet on one hand, and really tall, almost like 7 feet tall, and he has really short hair, but it's white, and he's not old. So he comes out and he addresses the leader of the people, these yellow shields that are ambushing the player characters. He calls him Rotoro, and basically this guy, which I had this model here, miniature, so you can not drop him. He is looking for Rotoro, and because he has a bounty on him, and he works for somebody named Finn. He's trying to collect, and Rotoro isn't paying, so he's here to collect something, and he says he's gonna collect one of Rotoro's hands as payment. So the fight after that takes a turn, and it's actually not so much because of that guy, because my rolling for him sucked. The party turns it around. Fenris, the human fighter, he kills Rotoro in like 1 round, 2 good hits, took him out. They start dropping people left and right, and before it didn't last very long, the battle was over. They talk to this guy, and they find out that his name is Brock. Matter of fact, the members of the Yellow Shield call him by name, and he's he's a bounty hunter here in Freeport. This is a really cool miniature that I got, 3D print off Etsy. Really nice one. Painted up really fast, but he came out pretty good. But he's a bounty hunter, and he offers, he's telling the party, talking to the party members, and he's kind of a jovial guy. Like, he's very big, very strong, intimidating, but he's not, that's not like how he gives off to them. He just chats with them. Kind of can tell that they're new to Freeport, and sticks around while they go through the bodies. When they go through the bodies on Rotoro, the leader, they find a couple things of interest. They find a dagger with an ivory handle with an L carved into it, and they find a note, crumpled up note with directions. And they have no idea what these are, but they do show it to Brock, and he tells them that belongs to a tavern, a pretty rough tavern that's in the docks district on the other side of the docks. It's called the Black Gull. Well, they decide they don't want to go to the Black Gull that evening because they've been pretty beat up in this little fight here. The first round didn't really go their way, and so they all, including Brock, go back to Doxy's Lap, have a few drinks, and talk to Brock some more. They find out more information. They find out that the Black Gull is a really rough place, and he offers to bring them there when they want to go. So that he can help them find it, because even though it's fairly popular, the streets of Freeport are such a random crazy maze of a mess that they probably still have to spend quite a bit of time looking for. So he offers to help them find the place. So they decide the next day that they're going to go the next evening. He tells them you're better off going at night because that's when it's actually busy. There's nobody there during the day. So time passes. We fast forward to the next day. The following evening, they go to the Black Gull. So on the map there, I kind of put the Black Gull. I have a different map that's for the adventure I'm using, but I mean, it's similar, but it's not numbered the same. So the Black Gull is down here. Actually, and I take that back. This is the Black Gull right here on the map. So it's wedged in between two warehouses. It's narrow. It's a dive of a place, very rough. So they go there. They stake the place out for a while, hanging out inside. And eventually this man comes in, and he stands out because he doesn't blend it. He doesn't match like the regular customers here at all, the Black Gull. So they watch him. He's extremely nervous. He's looking around. He gets a drink, goes, sits by himself on a chair in the corner of the bar and opposite of them. And it's apparent that he's two things. One, he's very nervous, and he's also looking for somebody. Mercer goes up, sidles up next to him, and tries to engage him in conversation. It doesn't really go that far. But then Mercer goes back to their table, and he stays there for a while, a couple hours. And after that, he does start to take notice of the party where he hadn't really before. And then he eventually leaves. Well, they decide to follow him, which they do to varying degrees of success. Liam stays kind of always watching him. Mercer tries to cut through some alleys to get ahead of him and kind of flank him, but the alleys are such a tight maze of a mess of design that he ends up actually getting lost himself a little bit and loses sight of the whole thing. Eventually, the guy does notice that he's being followed, so he like speed walks and tries to get ahead of him, eventually stopping. And when he does that, Liam sneaks up on him and cold cocks him with a dagger in the side of the head with the pommel of it and crushes, like knocks him out. So, and they end up dragging him off in an alley. They get reunited with Mercer. They wake him up. That was kind of a funny scene because I said, "Oh, you splashed some water from runoff from one of the buildings into his face," and then that led to, is it really water or is this like where people are throwing their toilet buckets out and stuff? So we joked around about that and left that up to everybody. I think I did say at the end they probably figured out it wasn't just water, so it was kind of nasty. But they wake the guy up and they start interrogating him. Doesn't really take anything effort at all. This guy completely crumbles and starts giving up information about like he was hired to hire somebody to kill them. So he was the one responsible for hiring Rotoro and the Yellow Shields to track down the player characters and kill them. He talks about he works for a person called the Master. He doesn't know his name. He meets him at a hideout, which is in the Eastern District. And he tells him like he's been there. He knows that there's rooms below the house, but he's never been in them. And for the last couple days, he's brought food there, which was kind of an unusual thing for him to do. He's never had to do that before. So he completely volunteers to bring them there, like no problem. He just doesn't want to be killed. He's definitely afraid that he's going to be killed. And even in the venture module, they talk about that. There's like no roles to make him start spewing information. It's like he just starts giving it up. He's definitely the weak link. He does tell the party that the Master is very powerful and that he is in charge of a cult of people. So he leads them to into the Eastern District. They don't bring Brock. They don't go back and get Brock, who they left at the Black Gull. So it's just the three of them, which is interesting. I think they might have regretted that a little bit later. But they take this guy. They find out his name is Enzo. So Enzo brings them to this dilapidated house in the Eastern District, which the Eastern District in Freeport is like middle class, but this is an old place that hasn't been used. Mercer ends up going in. He picks the lock to the door and goes in. The inside is completely decimated. It's got masonry all around, and it's just gutted. But there's a trap door in the floor, so he calls the rest of the party in. they go in, go down the trap door, and at the bottom of these stairs, it's a wine cellar. And they go in, they start searching around, don't see anything, there's no doors or anything. So they start searching, there's these huge wine casks in there, and most of them were filled with old wine, but they find one that's hollow, and they search around, Mercer searches around for it, and he eventually finds a latch, and he pulls it, and it opens up the whole front of the cask, like the whole thing's hollowed out, it's a secret passage. And they can see a passageway beyond it, so that's where we leave, that gets us to here. So they go in through here, they come in this way, they see this room. Fenris is in the lead. They'd cast light on one of the daggers, so Mercer's carrying that around. He's the light source for the party because none of them can see in the dark. They come here, and Fenris trips a floor trap that opens up a pit, but I give him a deck save, and he made his save, so he didn't actually fall into the pit. They get here, they're not sure which way to go. So Fenris and Liam go into this room, and Mercer watches that door. And in here, this is a 10-foot deep pit. It's painted black. This room has like a starry sky, and it's got this here table. And on it is some ritual paraphernalia, like candelabras, incense, and a gong. So that came in kind of funny, kind of important. They're in there messing around, and Fenris hits the gong. And as he hits the gong, kind of at the same time, coincidentally, a door opens here, and three somewhere, I have them. Maybe they're actually over there somewhere. Three serpent people in robes come out and attack Mercer, and they lay him out pretty badly. Like, I think they dropped him to -4 hit points right off the bat. Liam and Fenris come out to help their friend, and they make short work actually after that of those three serpent people. So they spend some time bandaging up Mercer and actually get him all the way back on his feet. We have Liam, he's also a cleric. He's a rogue cleric. So and with the bandaging ability, with Fenris and Liam, they also get him bandaged up and actually get him all the way back up to full, but it was a really close call. So they don't know, they're not sure what's behind this door, because at this time, in-game, everything's covered up. They don't see anything. So they actually end up going down this tunnel that they found, and while the rest of this is all covered up with this, I use this thing here. So they go down here, they realize that right here is the back side of a concealed door. But they bypass that. They don't go in there. They keep going down this way, and they go in that way a little bit, and I described to them that what they see beyond that opening is just a really big cave. They come down to here, they find another section was the back side of a secret door, and they decide that's the way they're going in. They try to listen, but they don't hear anything. So they go in, and in this room, there are two men, one behind this pillar. This is a snake pillar. I don't remember where I got these from, but these are pretty cool. I don't actually have ever used them before, but they worked out perfect for this. So there's two men with crossbows, and they're basically cultists, and they're back here with crossbows. Oh, here's one now. One of the guys right there. He was hiding behind there. There's another guy over here that's with a robe. He's wearing a robe and is hooded. And then there's three snake men. So they come through here. This guy reveals himself. This guy isn't finished, but he worked good for today. There is Milos from the person that they talked to at the Temple of Knowledge, that they went there to investigate, to try to get more information on Lucian, the guy they're looking for. So, roll initiative, battle ensues. He tells them basically, welcome to your doom. You've reached the Temple of the Unspeakable One, and combat starts. He hits Fenris in the think it was the first round, I'm not sure. He ends up hitting Fenris on his turn with a hold person spell, which is successful, and Fenris is held for a few rounds not able to do anything other than take damage. So the two crossbowmen start shooting into the group here. They take some damage there. I know everybody took damage. Liam actually makes a move not long after, and he comes around this way to confront Milos. And that was a good idea. I mean, it was very dangerous because during that scuffle, he does stab him, but Milos was pretty tough. And in the game, and in the write-up, they talk about, like, this is a really tough fight. And he has this basically smite ability where he can, if he touches you, he can deal damage. And if it's enough damage that exceeds your hit points, you die. Like, it just kills you. So he hits Liam with that and didn't kill him, but he did a lot of damage. I think he had 4 hit points left after that. And then this guy, he doesn't want to risk a shot at while his boss is there, so he comes over and joins the melee. He tries to do the same thing. His ability isn't as good, but he actually misses. So it was a really, really tough fight. Eventually, a few rounds go by, they did dispatch the serpent people, or at least a couple of them. Mercer actually approached this guy trying to get to him and get some cover because he's stuck in the open over there. Fenris's the hold person spell wore off, so he was able to actually act. But by the time he did, I mean, if he had more than 1 hit point, I'd be surprised. There was several times in this with the fights that they were down really low on hit points. This fight and then the earlier fights, and then the fight over here, they were all. The whole session was like just dancing on the death of a character. I think everybody at the table thought characters was going to die today, but they avoided it so far. And they eventually beat all these guys down, and they find, tucked away over here, they find the guy they've been looking for, Lucian, and they rescue him. They bring him back. He's been tortured. He's in really rough shape, but they bring him around, and he's very grateful that they rescued him, obviously, and is very actually concerned about Brother Egil because he thinks he's in trouble as well. They decide, because they are beaten up really bad, like they're first level characters. Some of them multi-class, so they got a couple extra, abilities that they don't typically, a first level character won't have. But they took a really good beating in this. I at certain points in this final fight, I would not have been surprised if it had turned into a TPK, because it was really, really tough. They were taking hits, and they were giving out some good hits, but they were also taking a lot of damage. But they survived, which was awesome. Liam and Mercer are like, let's get out of here. Let's go back the way we came and get out of here. And Fenris was like, well, what about this way? Because they still, as players, had not even seen any of this because it's still covered up. And they're like, well, we only got, we're in rough shape. We can't go this way. So Liam, Mercer, and lead Lucian down this passageway. Fenris is like, well, I'm going this way because I want to find out what's going on and what's down here. So he goes down. He goes in this room. It's a treasury, and there's a skeleton in the middle of the floor. He has a pretty good idea this is where they were at when they found the second concealed door. And he was right. There's 4 chests in there. He goes over to open the door. All the walls have curtains on them. He opens the door, but while he's doing that, the skeleton comes alive and attacks him from behind. So he takes some more damage, but they end up dispatching the skeleton. They see that, there's treasure here. They'd found a ring of keys on Milos, so they start unlocking it. And there's a really good haul of treasure in there. I took it right out of what was in the adventure. So they find some good gold, lots and lots of silver, thousands and thousands of silver. But they also find like a potion, ends up being a magical shield, and a magical spear, which is nice. All out of the module, so I'm not adding stuff that isn't there. Although I did do that with some stuff. Like Brock's not in the module. I added him on my own. So Fenris is real proud of himself because he's like, hey, you guys didn't want to do this, but I found all this. And he initially had made the claim, like, well, whatever I find down here, when they went separate ways, he's like, whatever I find down here is mine, which is kind of rightfully so, I think, if he's going to venture off by himself. But then when he needed help here, defeating the skeleton, they were like, nope, not yours, we helped you. So they all agreed to split the treasure. So then they end up saying, well, while we're here, we might as well search this room. So they find this room, open it up, and it's a small library. So there's a bunch of named books in there that caught their eye, so they just snatched those up. There wasn't much up. There was some notes in a letter that talked about preparations and Drax Lighthouse, which is a thing going on in Freeport right now. There's a lighthouse being built. And then, but the note was talking about the serpent people coming, and it was signed by a Natal, which is somebody, they don't know who that is. So they collect all that stuff, and then they decide to leave, and we ended the session there. With them getting back, we had some time restraints, so people had to go. But it was good. I actually didn't think they were going to get through all of this, so this is really good that they did, for a couple of reasons, because we got through the first part of the Freeport, Death in Freeport trilogy of adventures, so that was good. And I'm running a session, my regular Castle of Crusades session tomorrow, so I have to clean all this stuff up so I can make room for the stuff that's going to be going on tomorrow. So that really worked out. It's going to save me some logistical headaches, just being able to pull it all up, put it away, and then bring out the other stuff that I'm using for tomorrow. But yeah, so that was the adventure. I'm still getting around using published material. That's kind of new to me. I enjoy the adventure. I love the city of Freeport. It's great setting if you're looking for a city setting. I just need to spend more time on the material, but it's been kind of busy here lately, so I didn't get a chance to do it as much. But everybody had fun. Like I heard that multiple times from the guys. Like that was a great session, so that's all that really matters to me. So we had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to the next one. So I appreciate it. If you guys got any questions, fire them away, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.